All right, I'm editing this, so you don't have to. If you want to change or you want to go any direction you want. All right.
First of all, let's make sure that am I looking at the camera or
You're looking at me. You talk.
But my left eye is looking at.
That's fine.
That's how it works out.
No, they'll probably think, hey, he's looking at me.
Yeah. So anyway.
No. Okay. Now, the reason we're doing this is because I got this idea when I realized that Cody and all your grandkids were going on the trip. And we have lots of pictures of where you've been, but we didn't have much of you. And so Emily's job was to get some video of you, doing different, mostly with the kids, with your megaphone, those kind of things. And so now we're going to do some questions with Grandpa about Heritage Tours. And I'm going to just give him the first question is summarize just how and why you got started.
Well, the why I got started, I was driving bus for about 7 years before that, and I've been driving tours back east. But then the bus company asked me to take this group from Richfield, which is a seminary group back east in 1973. Mm-hmm. So I was the bus driver. It was a 23 or 24-day tour. I thought I'd never get home. I slept on the back seat of the bus for 22, 23 days in a sleeping bag. Finally got home, and after about a month I thought, we should do that in American Fork. I was the principal of the seminary at the time. Thought we should do it. Went to President Haymond and told him asked him what he thought. And he said, well, I think we should do it. So we started in 1974. It was the first trip. We had one bus, and that was about it.
Where did you go? What were the how does the first trip resemble the one you just went on? I mean,
pretty interesting. We had one big tent, like a circus tent. Had a big pole in the middle. The boys slept on one end, the girls slept on the other end. And then we had invited the home ec teacher from American Fork to go with us to cook our meals. We cooked out, and at lunch, I've often told this to the kids what we used to do. We used to stop at a grocery store. We'd buy 3 or 4 loaves of bread, 2 or 3 packages of bologna, some cheese. We'd start in front of the bus and we'd say, take 2 slices and pass it back. And then take a piece of bologna and pass the bologna back. And that's the way they ate lunch. A couple of times, some of the time.
And then, but you mostly were at KOAs.
We were at KOAs.
And
staying in that big tent. That was the first week. That first time we went. The second year we started to get the little tents. 2-man, 3-man, 4-man tents.
how much was the cost of the first tour?
$225 for 16 days.
16 days. Is it just now? What's the
$2,100. Okay. Now when you think about that, 225 for the first year, 35 years, $2,100. So it only went up about $1,900 in 35 years. Now that's not too bad.
That's not too bad. What were some of your early fears when putting HT together? I mean, obviously there's a lot of logistics. And this first trip, you don't have the luxury that you do now because you know every place that you go and you have that comfort level of those people who were in those positions. What were some of those fears that you're thinking, okay, I'm taking all these kids, they're my responsibility? What were some of those?
Well, it was possibility of an accident, a bus accident. It was sickness, what we do with sickness with kids. Obviously, we've had many experiences with that, going to hospitals. But, and in those days, the worry was the weather. I mean, storminess, tornado alley we were in, and all those sort of things. But
What were some of your most vivid memories of your first trip? I mean, again, because it was a first for you as well, right?
yeah,
I mean, you were learning a lot, somewhat.
well, it's been so long. I do vividly remember coming home that first trip and saying, we ain't doing that again. Because it was hard. Sleeping on the bottom of the bus for 15 nights.
That was you, right?
That was me. That was me.
In the bays.
Yeah, in the bays. And I remember, of course, that went on for first 3 or 4 or 5 years. We'd say, I don't think we're going to do that again. But after 2 or 3 months, we'd get the fever again and go ahead and do it.
So when you said we're not doing that again, what changed your mind?
Well, it was just
Did people?
seeing the people come and saying what a good experience it was, and how kids changed their lives, really, really changed their lives, and said they wouldn't have gone on a mission had they not had the experience. And I think sometimes they were just saying nice things because I think they would have gone on a mission. But it was people saying nice things, and then the fact that I could see, because I was teaching seminary for 9 months out of the year, and I felt that I got more teaching done in those 3 weeks than I did
In the whole year.
in sometimes the whole year, because they were with me, they wanted to be there, and
You
it
were
was a
teaching-
captive group.
And you were teaching in
And I was teaching.
the air where they were.
Where, yeah,
Where was that?
you read about the Sacred Grove and church history, and you were there, and that was a big thing with the kids. And of course, the first time we went, we wanted to. Our philosophy was to try and make it a pioneer experience, a tough experience.
So that's part of the.
That was.
It should have been hard. It should have been
Yeah.
somewhat like they do like the Trek
Yeah.
right now with the
with
kids.
the youth conferences.
Right.
And the rain and everything else. And I still talk to kids today. I mean, grown-ups, parents who went in those years, and they said that was the best experience. I don't know why these kids don't have to have that same experience we had.
Yeah.
This last year we had Barbara Steiner went with us as a chaperone. She went 32 years ago. She says that was a great experience in the tents.
Yeah.
But, over the years, we've changed our approach. I mean, from being a hard pioneer type of a thing to mission preparation, Book of Mormon, missionary work, that sort of thing.
So in a sense, and you told me tonight that next year you're going to be doing more DNC. So every time you get back, you reassess what you think it needs. So really, every year, it's not the same thing. It's kind of.
The itinerary pretty much is the same, but we've tried to. When I started making the book, the HTM, Heritage Tours Manual, we call it the HTM.
When was that about? When did you start making that?
Well, I've always had a little
Have
book.
you?
I've always had a book that was made by the old mimeograph machine.
The
and
purple stuff?
Purple stuff, and put songs in it, but that was about all. We would have a couple of articles, but then when I got to California and I met this man, Gary Yates, he was a publisher. He he said, "Hey, I can make a great book for you." And so that was 1997, 98. We started expanding the book, doing a kind of a format that would fit. And now they keep making fun of me that it's 667 pages, more than the Book of Mormon has it in. So they keep getting after me, "You gotta cut it down, Bob."
But it's very well segmented into days, and so there's certain preparation they have to read, gives them an itinerary of what's going on for the day. And
Well, that's been our thing all the time. Ever since I was a seminary teacher and we went to Israel, we had to, as a seminary teacher, we had to attend monthly meetings to be prepared to go to Israel. And that was my philosophy was, we need to prepare these kids before they even go. Some groups who have gone, they have a meeting maybe in November or January and they don't see them until they leave. They just get them signed up and then they go. But we've met with them at least 5 months, maybe 6 months out of the year before we go. Preparation meetings, we call them. And we felt like that was the important thing to do to get them prepared. And then while we're on the trip, we prepare them as we go to the site. We try to prepare them before we get into the site. So,
okay. When did you know that it was, this is going to work? As a templated thing, you think, okay, the first trip, you come home, you think, I'm not doing this again, but then you did the second year. When did you know that, hey, we got something here to where it's starting to grow? When was that? Did that take a while? Was every year kind of like its own thing, or did you say, hey, I can keep doing this every year?
well, I don't know. It kind of grew. It was just something that we fell into, and actually it became pretty much a tradition in American Fork. It was, when we going? And someone said in American Fork that there are two things that you should do. One is be a part of the American Fork High School Band, and the other thing is to be a part of Heritage Tours. So it became a tradition, really.
And how many generations are now? Because again, really a lot of the of why you get the kids is because their parents went and their kids. So are you on your almost third generation of kids?
Almost, I guess.
Almost?
Yeah. 35, this year will be 36 years. So,
This is one of those, over the 35 years, I'm sure you've had a lot of memories from many of the places you've visited. Share with us some of the funniest, and then some of the most spiritual, some of the times where you can't make this stuff up, it's just funny, and then talk about some of the most, and this can be from any year.
oh boy. Funny experiences.
You talked about where you're under the underpass. Well, that was kind of funny. It was kind of scary.
That was the tornado came. We got under an underpass. I went up and watched the tornado about 1.5 miles away, and it blew up one barn and some buildings, and then just kind of danced toward us and just kind of lifted up in the sky and went over us. And we had to sit there for about 1.5 hours before the others passed by us. But
Didn't your bus run out of gas a couple years ago? Where the kids had to actually get out and push?
oh yeah, that would be that was a memory. I got 100 yards away from the pumps, and the bus got out of fuel. So the pictures we show is about 40 boys in their white shirts. It was on Sunday, white shirts and ties, pushing the bus to the pumps. Big red bus. So that was, and there are a lot of other times. rain, and we've had some serious times when we've had some kids be a little disobedient.
Have you sent anybody home?
Just 2 or 3 years ago, we had to send 2 kids home. It's kind of I had to make a statement. Last 2 days of the tour, sent them home from Omaha. And some of the kids got kind of upset and thought, why in the world is he doing that? They only got 2 days to go. But I had to make a statement to parents and kids alone that you do foolish things. And in this case, it was a serious thing. Something that the young man was held back from his mission for a few months.
Because it affects everybody.
It affects everybody.
Yeah.
So we had to do that. But I will mention some of the things about, we've often talked about this, and that is the miracles of Heritage Tours. Times when I should have had accidents and everything else, but it was just as if someone was guiding the buses. And one time I remember going through Charleston, West Virginia, and I was following a truck that had a camper on the back of it, and I just all of a sudden just turned my signal light on and moved to the next lane, and just as I did, the camper fell off of the truck right in front of me, and caused a lot of damage.
Power supply.
But a lot of other miracles. Lost keys from buses was found.
What was it one year that you lost some money?
Well, that was with an adult group.
Was it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I lost about $1,000, and the next morning I come out and there's $1,000 sitting on my seat. People had all got together
And
put some money down. But
now it's when you have kids that are 18 years old, you obviously it can't always be a spiritual the whole time. What are some of the things that you guys do during? I mean, I remember when we, besides the singing and stuff, what are some of the things that you keep it light? That you guys are.
well, we have the philosophy. It is, I learned this in seminary. Some teacher, when I was doing my student teaching, told me, he says, Bob, remember, it's always easier to loosen up than it is to tighten up. So at the beginning of the trip, you go through the rules, you say this, you're pretty firm at the beginning, and then you kind of start to kind of let go a little bit, and then you start to get to know the kids, and then you have fun with them. And me with my arm lock and kidney punches and so on, to kind of get them to loosen up a little bit. But we have times where we do stupid things. This last year was a good example of Brother Toon being hilarious, trying to get back with a family that had pulled a prank on him, stole his pillows and all these toiletries in his bedroom, and so he came out the next morning, haggled look. The kids had enjoyed that. Of course, I'm known as Stoneface, but
And there's always, it seems at the end, there's always some very good impressions. In fact, a lot of the skits center around you and.
oh yeah, they always borrow my blue shirt.
In fact, Joey
I
did
always
have
put a-
that shirt, didn't he?
Yeah, and I always put a pillow in them to look like me. And this last year, Jordy even put something on his left eye to make it look like it was crooked. So,
What are some of your favorite places to visit and why?
well, my favorite has always been Sharon, Vermont. Prophet Joseph Smith birthplace. Just a great spirit there. A lot of times the kids, when they mention things on their questionnaires we give them at the end of the trip, say that Sharon is one of their favorite places.
Why do you think that is? That's
Well, it's just the spirit that's there.
Mhm.
It's a great place you get off the bus and they got music playing in the trees, and it's just, I always tell the kids when we get there that that's the Bethlehem of the church. That's, so that's where he was born, on the very spot. And then we have, it's the only place we really have a piano that we can sing, and we have a fireside that night. To do the fireside on the birthplace of the prophet, we've had some great experiences of feeling his spirit to be with us, and so it's always been. But you know, there's been other times, and I can't say that there's one place, except that is my favorite place. But you know, for the kids, it happens all kinds of places. We've had kids say that driving in and seeing the Washington D.C. temple was such an inspiration to them that something happened to them and they felt a great spirit. And other kids, you know, Sacred Grove, Adirondack, even the Carthage jail. So it all depends how they behold the place. That's we taught them this year, was these are sacred places and we should remove our shoes in some of these places. So it happens with all these places.
Now, you have certain kids that are, you know that from day one they're going to be easy. They're going to enjoy it. You're not going to have to do much. Have there been some where you thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be it? But then you were pleasantly surprised, and maybe it was at one spot that it really touched them. I mean, I'm probably sure you've seen.
Well, I always tell the story of John Stevens from American Fork.
Year 1983.
You remember that, Eddie?
Well, Michelle, I think she somewhat told me about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was almost the day before we left, he was almost going to call me up and tell me he wasn't going to go. He had a scholarship to play football at Utah State. And he thought he should stay home and get in shape and everything else. And he was kind of a rough one in school, but big kid, likable kid. He and I got along pretty good. And but he went and we went to the women's monuments in Nauvoo. That's when we went to Nauvoo first, and he had an experience at the women's monument. His mother told me later that when he walked into her house when he got home, that she knew she had a different boy on her hand. And we got home on about a Friday, and on Monday he made a trip to Logan and told the football coach he was going on a mission. So, you know, we really get the cream of the crop, because most of the time the kids that don't go, usually they can't get the money, or something happens where they want to do something else, and so they drop out. And the kids that really want to go really kind of stay with it. And the last 3 or 4 years we've done this system where they had to gain points to be able to go, to build points. They have to do assignments, they have to attend the meetings, they have to pay so much money, and that really divides kids and tells us who really wants to go. So we feel like we get the cream of the crop. Mm-hmm. And however, there are still problems with kids who come. Usually the problems are the ones who come right at the end. They come on the trip because we have an empty place. They haven't been to the meetings, they don't know. They come with long hair, they come with shorts or whatever, and their attitude isn't the best because mom and dad wants to come. Heritage Tours has sort of become like, you will go on Heritage Tours. It was like when I taught seminary, you will take seminary or you won't get your driver's license, you know. So those kind of things sometimes don't work out.
What is your mission statement? If you're to say, to sum up, what is HT? What's the purpose?
Well, we have about 5 purposes. Gain testimony of the Savior. Know that Joseph Smith was a prophet.